Welcome to Lynn Cullen Live, talk radio without the static. Email your questions and comments to lynn at pghcitypaper.com. And now your host, Lynn Cullen.
I'm assuming that means I'm on, even though what used to be a good beep is now a Hi, how you doing? It's January 26th, and it's a Tuesday, and Susan should be there. Hi.
Hi, I'm here.
Is that beep different to you too?
Well, there was a second beep, right?
I didn't hear it.
You complained about the first beep.
I didn't hear it.
And then you did what sounded like a new start, which sounded good.
What? I didn't start again.
Well, you start out complaining about, was that the beep? And then, you say it used to be a good solid beep. And then there was a good solid beep. That might have been just putting me on.
Oh, that might be. So I don't get solid beeps. You get solid beeps. What's with that? And I just saw some poop under my piano. This day is not starting out well.
And now you have to stare at it for an hour.
Well, I'm gonna not look that way. I'm gonna look out at the dreary backyard.
Well, that gives whole new meaning to my analogy about the Trump crimes being a load of poop in your living room that you don't clean up enough.
Yeah, right. Oh, I'll clean it up, but damn.
Why is he? What?
No, that hasn't happened in a while. I think what he hates rain. Oh, it's too long a story, but
inclement weather.
I was not surprised, and he was. I could tell he'd done it because of the way he was sort of like looking guilty. And then I went and checked, and yeah, there it was. So I can't imagine how difficult it is to have the urge to eliminate and to be beholden to others to put you in the proper place to do it. And if they don't do it, then so I'm blaming myself. Whatever.
That's right. Blue said, so you know what happens, Mom. It's the piano.
Mm-hmm. Which is fine with me. It's like his spot. It's on hardwood, easily dealt with, and he only does it when he's in, obviously, some kind of desperation. Oh, well, anyway, so sorry, guys. But speaking of poop, well, I don't know what it is. Oh, you know what it is? It's because the science section of the New York Times, a special science section, is on Tuesdays. And so it seems that when Susan is on, I often have these little tidbits from the science section. And in the case of today, why don't I have it? There was a whole big thing about, here, I'll do the headline. Finally, in 3D, Psittacosauruses, it's a kind of dinosaur. Psittacosauruses, I never saw this one. Dinosaur's all-purpose orifice.
Oh, what? It eats,
well, it turns out it's not
and it procreates?
Yeah. But that, it turns out, is what a lot of animals do. It turns out that
how many holes do you need when one can do?
That is correct. That is correct. And in fact, one of the scientists said something like that, saying that humans, have all these holes, and other animals just said, "What the hell? What do you need all that for? How about just one?" And I'm not sure how to pronounce it. Cloaca. CLOACA. And in the article, they just and then just start calling it I don't know, but it gets really incredible. So they quote these scientists. Imagine this, explaining to your parents, what you do because that's increasingly a difficult thing for a lot of people, especially for the parents to understand what the hell it is their kids do, right?
Oh, yeah. My husband's parents never could figure out what he did. And
yeah.
He was just a psychoanalyst.
Yeah, right. I mean, what? You sit and listen to people? So, the biologist in this story from University of Massachusetts is a specialist in the evolution of genitalia.
Well, I could see as a 3-year-old growing up to be that. He got fixated at a young age and never stopped. That makes perfect sense.
And it says if you go into her lab, you see collections of preserved animal rear ends. It'd be a strange thing
It's
to
a little
be into.
weird. Yeah.
Well, and then there's another one who gets quoted, and that's a female too, who's into is specifically into penises. Oh, and Patricia, an expert in animal genitalia. It's just unbelievable. Anyway, so you read this stuff, and it's like, God. Anyway, yeah, it's used. This one orifice can defecate, urinate, copulate, and extrude offspring.
Well,
that's
of course.
Yeah.
I mean, what else? How else would they get out?
Well, I'm just saying. And it's, anyway, let me picture here. And actually, so I always end up, for some reason, talking about stuff like this with you.
Can I just say, Lynn, that usually when you start talking about something in the New York Times, I'm sitting here with my iPad right in my lap. I usually go right to the section so I can read. There was something about this conversation that made me not want to pick up my iPad at all.
That's okay.
All right, I interrupted
but
yet again.
In fact, last night I was reading through The Week, that magazine, and there was a little item there that said it was a good week for specimens with the discovery of the first fully preserved dinosaur anus. And that's what this was. But they call it incorrectly an anus.
Well, I think what's interesting is that whoever discovered this thing looked at it and said, "Wow, a dinosaur anus."
Well, they went nuts. No, they went nuts.
I mean, how does one know what one is looking at?
Here's a quote, how nuts they went. It's kind of a rare gift. Because what it is there was soft tissue preserved, and that was the gift. That normally, you only see bones.
Right.
And so they were able then to actually make a kind of, a 3D model of this anus / everything else. So just saying. The dark coloring of the lips set against the backdrop of the animal's pale underbelly might have served as a sexual beacon, also wafting pungent perfumes. Just saying.
Sounds like a bodice ripper.
For certain kind of biologists, this would be really hot and heavy stuff. Okay, so I've only got one more in this. I don't know what it is, but I hate Gwyneth Paltrow.
Oh, I have to say I'm right there with you. I liked her right up until and through Shakespeare in Love, and then I don't know what happened to that person.
Well, she got pretty full of herself.
Narcissistic personality disorder. That's exactly what I was going to say.
And she was always telling other people, other women, how to live their lives. And she did it from a perch of a multimillionaire, celebrity.
Right. Remember, she was of the conscious uncoupling.
Oh, yeah. She did not get divorced. She had a conscious uncoupling. And then she became this major CEO of a corporate of Goop. It's called Goop, which I think is really an awful name. But Goop is incredibly successful marketing snake oil products.
Yeah.
I mean, just
that was the thing where you
stuff.
could get the egg to shove up your vagina to I don't know what.
You were supposed to put eggs in your vagina?
It was a stone that you were supposed to put in there and exercise around, I think. And she had to pull that one off the market.
Well, she does these things where women pay tons of money to get, to get her brilliance. But listen to this. I mean, this is a kind of nonsense. She's being sued because a British woman said that she purchased one of Gwyneth Paltrow's famous vagina-scented candles. Probably.
That's what showers are for. Why would you buy a candle?
Well, Susan, some people may feel differently. This woman liked the idea of a vagina-scented candle, so she bought it and she lit it, and it exploded. I don't know how a candle explodes, but it exploded in her living room.
Sheer disgust with it.
Yeah. And in her lawsuit, she says there were bits flying everywhere. We eventually got it under control, and I threw that thing out the front door. So just saying.
Well, there's a lot of lawsuits that I'm taking pleasure out of these days. I mean, the fact that I've never really felt fondly about a voting machine company before, but man, you gotta love Dominion. They're suing Giuliani. They're suing the woman.
I know. I do love them.
And the lawsuit against Giuliani is just hysterical because and they're right. They're pointing to how much money he made ripping people off selling his own brand of snake oil, and the fill in between was defaming them.
Yeah.
And he's getting sued, and it's all right out there. It's clear as day, and it's also clearly a lie. I mean, this is like the easiest case of defamation ever. And to show that and then they can show so easily how he profited off of it.
Yeah.
Telling everybody to, when they buy their whatever it is, punch in Rudy as your, code, or Rudy 20 as your,
Well, he's toast. I mean, it's hard to even understand what happened to him. I mean, without thinking it's.
You want to say that he's nuts, right? You want to say
you do. You just
I know.
do.
I know. I think this was who he was all along.
Forever. Wow. All righty. Well, Roger just wrote, what show did I tune into? Anus? Holes for copulation, urination, and defecation? Is this Lynn Cullen or Howard Stern?
Oh, no, this is Lynn Cullen.
It is. It's Lynn Cullen on Tuesdays. It just happens.
It's like my fault. You see, it's turning into a Republican right before your eyes.
It's her fault. Yeah. Oh, my God. Okay.
Is that all he had to say?
Yeah, right. That's all he had to say. What the hell's going on? But you had already, we had segued out.
Yes, I had
to Rudy.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
I know. I'm trying to. You told me no outrage, so I'm going to tell you about my nice walk out in the again snow, and just thank you once more publicly for my yak tracks or whatever they're called.
I think they are. And
man, I got to tell you, anyone that's absolutely got to walk their dog 3 times a day and is living through what I'm living through in terms of weather. You just snap these things on the bottom of your shoes or your boots, and the same ice that took me out twice on Sunday before 9 a.m.
Yeah, we got icy weather here today, so
yeah. Well,
really
I've just been trudging right over it in these things, and
I know they're amazing.
It's really amazing. So for very little
tracks.
money, you can do this safely. I'm sure there are other products too, but these work, and thank you.
You know, really, I was afraid. No, because I got our brother some, and
mine are in Chicago like an idiot. I forgot I would need them, but then I remembered Mother must have a pair.
Right.
And I found
it was like Hanukkah presents, and the fact is you can get them at REI and online.
Yeah. Right.
There's probably not an REI in Green Bay, is there?
No. There isn't a store left in Green Bay. There isn't a department store left in Green Bay. This is something that I don't understand. Then this isn't pandemic related. For some reason, this town that has, over 100,000 people in it has no retail.
No retail. Except, it has a
You
little
know
bit
what
of
it
that.
does have? It has some cute little shops now because there isn't anything else, which actually I enjoy. But if you want,
it does have the big box stores. That's what's
they're
left.
gone. But they're gone too.
No.
Well, it's got Walmart, and Costco.
No, and it's got stuff like Bed Bath and Beyond and that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
all that stuff that that's what's left of malls that used to be anchored by a department store, and the department stores are gone, right?
Yeah, but what I'm saying is Green Bay lost theirs before other things took,
Yeah.
And it's hard to understand why.
It's too bad.
Yeah,
it's so too bad. God.
But as I said, what you do find around here, or at least used to before, I haven't looked recently, having been locked up for a year, but what was here instead was nice little shops like you don't see other places anymore. Individually owned stores. Sorry. Well,
I hope. I mean, maybe that's something that'll make a comeback then. But nice independent stores are getting just destroyed by the pandemic.
Well, of course it is. Of course.
I was thinking today of this little shop that I get most of my clothes from and have in the last few years. And it's in a little town near here, not far, but and I was wondering, I wonder if they're still alive. And then I thought, well, what difference does it make? Because I now have 2 things I wear. That's it. I don't need clothes, and that's something I've learned from this experience. Oh, I don't need clothes.
No,
as a matter of fact.
Yeah. I think whole industry.
As a matter of fact, something that's really, I don't know if I can bear ever to wear a bra.
Right.
I have every once in a while, if I know someone's going to show up at the door or something, I'll put one on it and I'll think, oh God. Constraining, don't like it, and I have some rather large boobs, so I mean it's not. I should have a bra on, but I've gotten so used to being comfortable.
What? Who says you should have a bra on? This is what I'm talking about.
As opposed to fashionable,
right?
Well, I don't know.
I don't know. I gave a bra was easy for me. I gave that up first. But I don't think I'm going to go back to ever wearing makeup the way I, routinely wore makeup. I might.
I wonder if I will.
I'll put some mascara on, maybe. I'll put some lipstick on. That's it. That's probably all I did for the last 10 years anyway. But I just think that if women haven't figured out for this solid year that they aren't letting themselves go if they present themselves clean and dressed. That's all men have to do.
Right.
Why,
Right.
why do we have to tart ourselves up? I don't get it. Let's just not. It's the culture that's been telling us to do this, and think how much money you waste. And no, you don't look better. You just look the way they tell you to look. Ugh.
Right.
I mean,
Right.
I'm sorry. I don't mean to be outraged. I'm pleading. I think women we need to accept ourselves and find ourselves beautiful just the way we are.
But here's the thing. Also, one of the things that's happened, during this time of being shut down and isolated, a lot of women have done what I have and you have, not, just being who we are, letting it go, all the artifice, all of that, and finding it liberating and wonderful. On the other hand, a lot of other women have used this to have plastic surgery.
Oh, I know.
Apparently, plastic surgeons are like raking in the dough, because you can go get all this stuff done and not have the unpleasantness of,
hiding
showing
in
up
your house
with black eyes.
Right.
Yeah, exactly right. So they're making themselves into, whatever the powers that be say they should look like. So it's not like everybody's getting the same, is reacting
different
in the
people
same way.
Get different messages. And I am always careful to point out that this is the viewpoint of a post-mating woman.
Yes, that is true. Yes. You don't care to attract the male.
But I don't think I'm looking at my daughter.
No, you look fine.
Yeah, and I'm just saying that younger women, I have noticed, are doing the same thing. They're happily married younger women, so maybe they don't care either. But they certainly want to be attractive to their other half, and I think the other half finds them just fine the way they are. I mean, that's the one thing I always
in my life.
Eric always told me that he didn't want me to get please don't get plastic surgery. Please don't get
right.
I like you just the way you are, which is alive. And that was his point. Why would you risk killing yourself? Why would I want you to risk killing yourself to get a nip or a tuck?
That's what people don't realize.
It's a real risk.
Anyone who has elective surgery in so cavalier a way to fix a nose or make their skin tighter, are you willing to die?
No,
because,
I know.
Granted, it's
right. We know a girl that we grew up with died on the table getting a nose job. Because she reacted badly to anesthesia. That's what happened.
Yeah.
It wasn't even malpractice. Yeah. It just happened. It's a risk. There's a reason you sign those consent forms. And that's the other risk is that you end up on botched. You ever watch that? That'll cure you.
Do you know what? As you said that, I just realized I have no recollection. Oh, yes. Okay, maybe I do. Of signing, how right before you go in, they give you the paperwork.
Form, right. Well, it's usually the day before. I think.
Well, I have no recollection of it. The only time I think maybe I signed something was when I was in the prep area before they put me in the OR, where you say, yes, I know I could die, and whatever. Bob in Braddock says, I think I know why you truly hate Gwyneth Paltrow. Her mother is Blythe Danner. Yes, Blythe Danner was an actress, very good actress herself.
I don't hold Blythe. I like, but Blythe Danner's fine. Why should we hate
Danner? And she was married to an actor, Bruce Paltrow, right?
A film director. He was a director.
Bruce Paltrow? Okay. And but Bob is reminding me that it was Blythe Danner's voice that did the voiceovers for years and years and years of our medical evil empire, UPMC.
Oh,
Choose your why can't I think of what exactly it was? It's like choose your doctor as if your life depended on it.
because it does. Yes.
Does. And it was, yes, that was Gwyneth's mom, Blythe Danner, who is not doing it anymore. You're right. Thanks for the reminder, Bob. Yeah.
Okay. True subliminal. No, but you see, that wouldn't bother me, and I hate Gwyneth right up there with Lynn, and for much the same reasons. These people that appoint themselves arbiters of pure bunk and then sell it to you and get admired for it, and why do people need people to tell them what to believe and what to do and where to go and what to wear? I don't get it.
Because we're conditioned from day one by commercials and Madison Avenue's got our number when we're in utero. It's just, and some people, this is where, again, media literacy would be so helpful for people to take things in and understand how they're being played all the time. I don't know. And then people are insecure, Suze.
Well,
that's what so much marketing is about.
Well, that's
what so much marketing is about.
It's the same thing as the appeal of Trump. It's, find your insecurity and play up to it. So women think we're ugly, and what is this saying? That each and every woman finds herself ugly and unappealing. So,
well, it's pretty much true. And, you look at women, I don't know a woman who is not critical of the most beautiful woman who's not critical of the way she looks.
The cultural message to women is you're all ugly, but we can fix it.
It's not ugly. You need to be fixed. It's not ugly. Exactly.
I'm telling you, women absorb
you're
it
not
as
perfect.
We're imperfect. It's more. It's enough to be a wound, such that it drives.
It starts with little girls. We screw our little girls up right off the bat. And every time, what do you say to when you see a little girl that you've never
I
met
refuse
before?
to now. I don't.
Well, but we did, and everybody pretty much still does. The thing you say to a little girl is, "Oh, you're so pretty," or "What a beautiful dress." Yes, or "I love your shoes," or "Look at your hair." You don't do that to a boy. So what do we say to boys?
Where's that truck you're playing?
Hey, how you doing?
Hey, how you doing?
But girls from day one, and even the people who love them, do it to them.
Well,
all that superficial crapola.
Well, and even when you try very hard not to do it, the culture does it for you. So that's just the way it goes.
At the very least, we can all try not to do it.
Yeah, right.
I have had some slips, in the last few years. And when I've heard myself, I thought, oh my God, look what you just did. It's, kids get the message loud and clear. I think I have a caller, Suze.
Okay.
Hello.
Hey, Lynn, it's Mary in Murraysville.
Hi, Mary.
I have 3 points. I'm not so good at politics, but appearance I can chime in on. You're right about not wearing a bra all day, but since the pandemic started, I've been working at home half the time and at work half the time. And it's almost worth wearing a bra all day so that you can come home and take it off and just have that joy of taking off your bra.
Well, that's true, the joy of taking it off. But then why even bother putting it on if no one's going to see you?
Well, these are the days I have to go into the office and work.
Oh, I see. You go in. Okay.
Yeah,
gotcha.
Yeah. about 30 years ago, I worked in the housekeeping staff at a nursing home, and we had one woman who she had like a vanity set up in her room with some makeup and perfume, and every morning she'd get dressed and do her hair and do her makeup, and she looked really beautiful. She must have never went in the sun. She was gorgeous even in her 80s. And someday someone asked her about her routine, and she said, well, when I look better, I feel better. So there's that.
Yeah.
And the third thing that I
I've heard
found
that
really
too.
weird, is that Kanye West's mom, who was a college professor and, an accomplished woman, died on the operating table getting some kind of plastic surgery. And then he goes and marries the queen of plastic surgery. So I just find that weird.
Huh.
Yeah, that's right. I do remember his mother. Yeah, well.
Yeah, didn't she die like in Brazil or something? It was like, wasn't she in some?
Yeah.
I'm vaguely remembering this.
Yeah, I don't know. All I know is that she died with getting an elective plastic surgery, which is a tragedy. So, yeah, my husband said,
Mary, you're not.
So I believe him.
Mary, are you the one who sent me this email about the satellite sisters?
Yes.
No. No, you are.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So I just want to say this, because I kept your email because you said one thing in it that that's a podcast, which I have not listened to, but it's 5 sisters, Susan,
right,
talking about just talking, right? Pretty much just talking.
They started in radio, so they have good presentation skills, and they don't ooh and ah.
And the baby of that sibling group is 54 years old, so they're of a certain age, so it's a good age spread. And I've kept your email because you said one thing that just I need to talk about again, and I know people get mad at me, but you say I've tried to listen to podcasts hosted by younger women, but their vocal fry drives me nuts.
Yeah.
And I have to tell you, I really have the same problem. I was listening to some local news the other day, and I rarely do, and so there was a female reporter that I never saw before, and she totally had that. I don't know don't they have sore throats all the time? I don't even understand how did this happen that people, and even men, young men are talking like that too. What happened and what started that? Where they talk with that strange. Can you do it? I can't do it. I'm not doing it, right?
No, well, I don't know.
And some people don't even hear it. And I talk about chalk on a blackboard. It makes me insane. So even on, CNN or MSNBC, a young person on there, I don't think any of like the major people have it, right?
Right.
Can you think of any major?
No, I don't think the major ones do it. What gets me are the exaggerated end consonants. So like hang is hanga, Oh, that's so cute. That's so, look at that hang. It is the at the end.
Oh, don't give me another thing to get annoyed by, because I hadn't noticed that.
Oh, yeah, there's several.
But I don't understand what happened to these women. And it used to be that you would tell young women, highly educated, full of talent, that they, in terms of how they presented themselves vocally, they were doing that upturn thing, so that everything they said was a question and begging for some reassurance. So I went and saw him, and and
everyone is asking for approval, and reassurance.
Approval, and I'm thinking, you cannot be authoritative and talk that way. What are you doing? And then that still goes on, but they added this horrible sounding, deep in your throat way of talking. I don't know, and you're right. That ain't the kind of voice for radio, television, or the boardroom. It ain't. It's unpleasant. Why did that happen?
When I went,
nobody's helping me here. What happened?
I don't know. But
where did it come from?
Well, when I went to work as a young woman, I remember that I've said this before. I very consciously dropped
lowered your voice
an octave,
right,
so that people would listen to me.
Yeah, right.
I
so
very
Lynn,
deliberately.
Way up here?
Yeah, well, there's an awful lot of this, and I don't quite get that because it's hard to hear. I mean, I do think that lower registers are easier to hear and easier, and you know, if the point is communication. But yes, the language of American English has shifted. I mean, the music of American language has shifted dramatically in the last 10 years. It started about 20 years ago with Valley Girl talk. And that was so awful that everybody made fun of it, but it became mainstream. A lot of that uptalk is Valley Girl.
And I think it might be where the fry comes from as well. I'm not sure. Hey, Mary, you still there?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm gonna let you go because we have another caller. But I also want to say that I love your sign off on your email as well, which is walk in peace but raise hell.
Damn straight.
Right, Mary.
Right,
thank you. Bye. And we have another caller apparently. Hello.
Oh, I don't have any kids, so I'm not a parent.
I knew it was you.
Well, I want to talk about the talking because
okay.
Yes.
Go for it.
Recently, a good friend of mine who's 2 years older than I am, so that makes him 60, was talking about his grandson and him in a mall, and then his grandson running into this guy full of tattoos and talking to him and all this kind of good stuff. Now, my friend lives in D.C., very professional guy, always walks around with a suit and, you know, all that kind of stuff. And he was telling his grandson about how, you know, hanging around with those kind of guys was going to, you know, mess with his career and blah, 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 blah. Turns out this guy was his boss, the guy that his grandfather was talking to. Now, so my point is, as we're talking about the way these kids talk, for the kids, it's commonplace. You know, this is going to work in corporate America. Have you been in corporate America? See the kids walking around with their T-shirts and jeans and tennis shoes. Right. Yeah, you know, we're talking about our generation and the new generation. This is the norm, and I think it changes faster. You know, the way people talk. You know, Pittsburghers with our yinzes and nats and all that stuff was very Pittsburgh. But the way things spread now on the internet and with television and all that kind of stuff, regional dialects become national dialects fast. It depends on who's popular and what's popular and how they talk. Yeah. And
why would you choose the fry thing? Why would anybody choose to talk that way? It's so obnoxious.
I think to them it's just normal. You know, I used to be. You know how I grew up. Bugs Bunny with a southern accent, you were stupid. It took me a long time to get over that. You know what I mean? It took me a long time to get over that. You know, I still hear it. I still, you know, I have to resist. If I hear Mitch McConnell talk, I hear some Bugs Bunny character. Yeah. Yeah, so to them, to their ear, it doesn't sound the way we hear it, you know, because we're not used to it. To their ear, they've adapted.
But they're incorrect.
Right.
Yeah,
they are incorrect.
Anytime you choose Mitch McConnell as your example, we know who's right and who's wrong.
Absolutely. I was working on an imitation of Mitch McConnell, but I can't do it. I end up doing like there was a buzzer on Bugs Bunny. That I end up doing.
Yeah.
But
that'd be about right. Yeah.
He actually looks like him, to be honest with you.
Yeah, he looks like a cartoon character, but he looks like a turtle.
Yeah, and that buzzard has that same neck. As a matter of fact, they did a turtle with a tortoise and hare race that had that Mitch McConnell look. You're throwing me off. Now, I've always had a problem with. Oh, sorry, that's okay. It's your show. I'm just some guy. The plastic surgery and women altering themselves as they get older. You don't know how many times, even on, when I post stuff on Facebook, when I call myself old, people are like, oh, you're not old. And they're like, geez. And I'm trying my best to get this whole, that old means bad out of the zeitgeist. It's not, I'm old. It's not like I'm saying.
Yeah, right. Well, listen, I say it's so funny because you're not even 60.
I'm not even 60.
So I say I'm old. I just had a birthday. I am old. And I can't tell you how many friends say, oh, you are not. Well, what nonsense. It's because old is like something horrible.
Yeah, and so if you can still call up your mommy and go, hi, Mom, you're not old.
I know.
I said,
this is true.
Because when I turned 50, they said, oh, we're not old, we're middle-aged. I said, I have no intention of living to be 100. I smoke a lot.
Right.
But I know when I was about 50, and my little sister, who's a teacher in Colorado, called me and said, Clarence, I met one of my students' grandfathers, and he reminds me so much of you. And I said, yes, so? She said, but I don't think of you as a grandfather. And I said, well, I'm old enough to be a grandfather. And she said, well, I don't feel, 40. And I went, because she was 40 at the time. And I said, well, how old do you feel? She said, like 25. I said, here's what happened. When you were 25, you imagined what it would feel like to be 40. You were wrong. I said, I think that's when people say, I don't feel my age. I'm like, what, is there a whole warehouse full of yous with different feelings for their ages? You feel exactly like you're supposed to feel when you're your age.
What people don't realize, it's so true, that we inhabit who we are is not our skin and our faces, and it's the shell. Our bodies are the shell we inhabit, and that shell ages. But the person that's inside that shell is the same.
It's the same person. Yeah.
Same person.
I want to end on it because I thought this was a good line. Somebody said, so, you're not old. Well, they said, they said, you're young at heart. And I said, no, I'm not. And I have the pills to prove it.
Right. That's one of the parts that's not young. Now my dancing feet are young, but they're underneath my old heart.
Yeah.
Thank you, Clarence. Good to hear from you.
Thanks.
Okay. Bye. But that's another thing. We were talking about how our culture, demonizes women, and we all are so insecure about how we look, how we this, how we that. And I've just been dumping on women, young women, for the way they talk. So there's another one.
But the other thing is have you looked at the age of women that they call grandmothers in commercials? Because I'm here to tell you that the grandmothers in commercials are great grandmothers.
Yes, true.
And the mothers in commercials are grandmothers.
Grandmothers don't look like grandmothers used to look.
I know,
in our day and age.
Change the stereo. So stop putting up a grandmother from 1950 and thinking that that's what grandmothers look like. That doesn't speak to anybody, and all it does is piss off a lot of grandmothers. You're speaking to one. I'm going,
But here's the thing. Here's the thing.
And I'm an old grandmother.
It's, again, part of our culture demonizing old people. I mean, discounting them. It's like the worst thing that can happen to you is getting old. And that's why every birthday when I'm 85, somebody's going to say, hey, I'm so old. You're not old. At some point, guys, just stop it. It's crazy. And it shows, again, how we play into that thing with being old.
Oh, my God, you couldn't be old.
It's bad. I think being old, we should start getting medals. We should start getting medals and being celebrated. I don't know.
Right. We should at the very least we should at least embrace the fact that there's an actual thing as the life cycle, and it begins and it ends. And pretending like it isn't going to end doesn't mean that it doesn't end. And, pretending like when it's going to end, it doesn't make it that way. None of that stuff. I just, however long it goes, it goes. The only way that I can tell for me the difference is just, a subtle change in the way I think about things. About what bothers me and what doesn't, and what scares me and what no longer bothers me at all. And in many ways that's just a comfort. I'm just more comfortable in my own skin, and isn't that wonderful? I would have liked that about 30 years ago.
Yeah, but see, 30 years ago you wouldn't have had whatever it was that let you get there. Hey, I got a story I want to share. I didn't hear this story, and I want to share it because it cracked me up. Okay, I'm just going to read it as is. A thief who stole an Oregon woman's SUV with her 4-year-old child inside drove back to criticize the woman for her parenting.
This child was just rude as I kidnapped him.
Well, that was the first sentence, a great first sentence. The unnamed woman left the vehicle idling outside a store while she ran in to buy milk. The suspect stole it and drove off, but then returned to demand the woman remove her child. According to the police report, quote, he actually lectured the mother for leaving the child in the car, and he threatened to call the police.
Well, you got to appreciate his moral sense. There is right and there is wrong. And if you leave your car running, you deserve to have it stolen. And shame on you for leaving your kid in there.
A being. Yeah, a kid is a lot more important than a car, right? And I think that is just the greatest story.
Right. Well, he should now sue her for putting him in the situation where he had to turn himself in rather than hurt her child.
Oh, God. I know. So, Susan.
Yeah.
We've gone thank you, because we've gone 48 minutes without really.
Well, I was going to just tell you my grandson's story. We could make it one more.
Okay, you can do the grandson story, and then I'm going to let you do your rant that you had talked about last night, because it is so appalling.
Oh, it is appalling. Okay, but first.
Okay, but do your grandson story.
Because it's sort of, I thought it was sort of on point there for a second, but now I can't remember why I would have thought that. Wait a minute, I have to get to it.
What do you mean you have to get to it? Oh, you want to quote it exactly?
Well, okay, I'll just tell you the story. So my son was playing a game with my grandson that involved some sort of pretend fishing, and
your grandson is how old?
My grandson is 6. My grandson is 6.
All right. Okay.
And we were and so they're playing this game. Oh, here it is. And my son says, "Hey, Ellis, do you want to go fishing this summer for real?" And my son says, "Sure, but we'll have to catch and release because
your son didn't say.
My grandson. And then my grandson says, "Sure, but we'll have to catch and release because that is how you keep the fish population stable." He's been toddler explaining since he was 2, and now he's 6.
Yeah, I know. I just love little.
This is derived
awareness.
Yeah, well, he's really into animals and biology and reading about them. Yeah. So this is real info.
Yeah.
Anyway, okay, so you want me to do my rant? Well, it's just one of these things that you don't understand how it can be possible in this day and age, and it coincides with my intersects with.
But
my,
you do know, Suze. You know you can't express astonishment at what you're about to talk about. It's all over the place and constant.
I know it's all over the place and constant.
Okay, so
but as someone that spent time on a school board and had many positive experiences with school board people and superintendents and administration of public school people, they're a righteous bunch. So it's the story coming out of the South somewhere, I can't remember where a teacher has, yet another teacher, I think, in the district had died of COVID.
It was in Cobb County, Georgia.
And the teacher had been someone who felt very strongly about wearing masks. And after the teacher died, a teacher friend went before the board with masks. The board is sitting there with at least two people prominently not wearing masks.
It was the superintendent of schools and one of the board members.
And a board member. Right.
Unmasked, and the other members of the board were masked, right?
The teacher brings masks and asks the two unmasked people to please, at least to honor and in memory of their employee that had just died of the disease that this was trying to prevent, would they please not just wear a mask? And they refused. They did not.
Well, she asked specifically in a moment of silence.
Yes.
A moment of silence for them, right, for the deceased, and to please. One of the things that the deceased teacher had said is he asked that people please wear masks. And so to honor him, right, to honor him, could we have a moment of silence, and could everybody please put on a mask? And those two refused.
Did not.
Well,
and to me, really, I just, the way I felt about that when I read that is, okay, we're going to start a GoFundMe page. We're going to pay all those teachers to walk out. We'll feed them. We'll take care of them. And they don't come back until that superintendent is fired. Because I don't know how you lead a group of people that you've just told flat out that you don't care whether you kill them. You won't lift a finger to help your employees stay well. You'll refuse to set a proper example. The one thing I so truly believe about anybody sitting on a school board, anybody in a position of administration, is that every single thing you say and every single thing you do has to be a lesson, has to be an object lesson. It's the way it's going to be viewed. It's the way the children should have the privilege of viewing you. And when you do shit like this, you deserve to be thrown out and fired. It's appalling to me. So there's my quiet little rant.
Okay, yeah, so it was a very quiet little rant. But, so this is, these people, those two, and the millions like them, are dug in, and they are unapologetic, and it's really astonishing, although not, of course.
Well, I
read something about how these local...
For me, as if I were sitting on that board, I would be firing the superintendent for that. And I can count votes on that board. They've got the majority.
Well, we'll see if there's any repercussion.
He should be fired.
Probably. Unbelievable. Just unbelievable. The other thing about the teacher who died that struck me, both he and his wife were teachers, and both got COVID, but he succumbed. He was in his 50s, and he was a kindergarten teacher.
Yeah, and boy, are they rare.
I've never heard of a male kindergarten teacher.
Do you know how important it is that we get more men on the elementary level? It is so important. My brother-in-law was an elementary school teacher, 5th grade, but I can guarantee you that he gave so much to his students just by being a man. It's terribly important that children see at all levels of education that education of them is important to both genders, or to all genders. And you know, I don't it was considered unmanly, I'm sure, but those kids get a treasure when they get a man in the early years.
Absolutely.
And usually you got a gym teacher or maybe an art teacher.
That's right.
You know, you
or
get
maybe
one
a science teacher,
or maybe
but,
you're
right. Right. But, you know, I was thinking in my son's education, he'd had nothing but women until 3rd grade, and he bumped into his first guy, a former Marine, Mr. Bowman, who, and my kid was terrified of him. Stop and think. He came from a single family house. He did not know of
a single parent.
He didn't know from men as a man, as a, you know, authority figure. And Mr. Bowman, being a Marine, was, you know, and Sam was just terrified of him. And so much so that he actually threw up before school some days. Oh. And I finally thought, oh God, I got to tell the Bowman. So I called Mr. Bowman and I told him, and he was so stricken. He said, oh my God, I can't. And he said, thank you for telling. Yes, thank you for telling me. And all I can say is that to this day, if you ask Sam who was the best teacher you ever had, he'll say Mr. Bowman. And it's the only one he went back after he'd gone to college. He went and stopped at the school to see Mr. Bowman. And just wow. And Mr. Bowman, a marvelous teacher. He died so young. Can't bear it. Just can't bear that he's gone. A great, great teacher.
Yeah, well, yeah, I would love to see emphasis put on good men at all levels of education and good women at all levels of education, because it's best for our children if they see that.
That's right. Well,
you know, and if they thought there'd be more of them, because there's a lot of little boys that are nurturing and educators and not afraid to have a room full of kids.
Right.
You know, there's another guy that I've come to know that I just the thought of him, I adore. He's got a daughter that's a ballerina, and they never have enough men, you know, to hold the ballerinas, you know, to stand around in tights and do a couple of lifts and, you know, and be the bar on stage. And so this man would go he would go and do that so that his daughter could be in ballet and he could do it with her. And he's just this big guy. And I thought, what a dad, you know. What a dad.
They're out there.
They are out there.
Well, guys, I hope you don't mind, you news hound types.
We didn't say the T word.
No, I don't think we did.
We didn't even say the Biden word.
No, but we did say the M word, McConnell. But it's okay.
Well, that was Clarence's fault.
That was Clarence's fault. But I just, it's still a cesspool, and God help us.
Oh yeah, I'm still watching the TV to find out, what fresh hell, because either I'm addicted to anxiety at this point, or or I'm just waiting for the other shoe to drop.
No, well, I mean, things are every bit as dire as they were when who was in office. It's just that and his party is showing that it is not going to change.
No, they think unity means we still do everything their way.
It's just unbelievable.
Unbelievable.
Okay, we did.
Okay, we did it.
I know. We did.
Okay, I'm just going to end this way because I would have gotten very angry. We got to say one thing. We just got to say, Democrats, you won. Stop acting like you didn't. Okay, goodbye.
Bye. Okay. Sorry, guys, if you wanted more political talk. I needed a break. Okay? Talk to you tomorrow. I suppose we'll get political. Bye.
Lynn Cullen Live, Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. and archived at pghcitypaper.com. The opinions expressed on Lynn Cullen Live are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the viewpoints of Pittsburgh City Paper or its advertisers.